This podcast was produced by ORFM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Welcome to Disabled Persons Assembly's Notable Radio Show. DPA is a systemic advocacy organisation run by and for disabled people. DPA is a pan-impaired organisation with members across the country. Over the next half hour, we'll discover how we can work collaboratively to achieve inclusion for all New Zealanders. DPA's Notable Radio Show, a whole new attitude.
Kia ora and welcome to DPA Notable Radio. I'm your host, Amy Taylor, Community Connector and Kaituitui for Otipoti Dunedin. In today's show, we're going to talk to John Marrable, who is the Access Consultant and Educator at Living Well Disability Resource Centre. Oh, John is much more than that. John is one of the most astounding disability mentors that we have in this region. He's out there looking after disabled people in our community. I don't think John needs any introduction when it comes to the disability sector. If you're in the disability sector in Dunedin, you probably know exactly who John is. But nevertheless, I will let him introduce himself and share what goes on in his life. He's here to talk to us mainly about the Access for All meetings, but I'm sure we'll be able to cover some other things as well. Hello, John.
Hi, thanks, Amy, for that lovely introduction. And it's very humbling. I do my job because I love helping people. I broke my back when I was 10 years old. And
gosh, I have a 10-year-old. I can't imagine.
Oh, well, we didn't listen to parents, and I don't think 10-year-olds listen to parents now. So, but yeah, it was one of those things. So it's 58 years ago this year. And so I was brought up really in a wheelchair-friendly society. And I was lucky that I went to Stoke Mandeville Hospital, which was where the Paralympic sport started. So from day one in the wheelchair, I learnt skills to survive in a wheelchair, unfriendly wheelchair world. And I was happy just doing my own bits and pieces with regards to living my life as normal as you can. And then I had an incident where I stuffed up a shoulder downhill ski racing and suddenly realised, you have to do these things. And then I had a hassle with ACC not wanting to honour my claim. So after quite a bit of to-in and throw-in, they did. And I suddenly realised there's a lot of people out there who haven't got a strong voice and will just take answers or just try their best. And that's when I sort of got involved with the disability sector, which was about 2006, I think. So, it's been a while.
It has been a while, and I think that we all know you well for your work in the community. And if you ask anybody from the council or from the ORC who they chat to about absolutely anything, it's John, which is absolutely wonderful. It's wonderful to have your voice in our community.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's it. I try and help people live their life to the fullest, whatever they want to live, how they want to live. I mean, sometimes it's impossible, but it's impossible for everyone to do what they really want to. It's being realistic on how we can change the world to be accessible, and there's no reason why with the new builds that they can't be fully accessible. I was doing a training session one time with some councils, and I mentioned that I've never seen a brand new building fully compliant. And they said, what? Give us an example. How long have you got?
Gosh, yeah.
And it's the understanding. So, I mean, what suits you doesn't suit me necessarily. But saying that, if we make everything flat or accessible, it's going to be universal for everyone.
Yes, and absolutely, and that is what we aim for when we talk to the councils. It's just some understanding that they just don't really have an idea. And often the building code, while it's great to have a building code, often while things might be built to something like the code, as time passes, people do things like stick the dustbin in the toilet, or they decide they're going to store their mops there, and suddenly the accessible bathroom is no longer accessible.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I notice is these big commercial toilet roll holders.
Oh, yes.
They are non-compliant. You are allowed to have a single one at a certain position. 30 centimetres up and 30 metres back from the two handrails. So it's about level with your shoulder per se, but it shouldn't be a wide one, shouldn't be a double one. However, that's just disregarded by the building
it's
owners.
Absolutely universal. Every toilet has those
Correct.
big double ones. Yeah, and they take up a lot of space.
That's for real. But yeah, it's just interesting dealing with the councils, and they want to do their best, and sometimes they can sign off building plans, for example, and then I'll go and visit a property, do a post-occupancy check, and I think, but that's where we always put that, or that's how we always install it, is what the builder says, Like door frames are supposed to be colour contrasting, so that someone visually impaired, and I see your eyes wide open as you look past me.
No idea.
All these little things, and people, I don't think they do it deliberately, they just do what they think is right.
Yes, and I think we do get that a lot. It's not that people don't want to get it right, or they don't want to, help the disabled community. They're just sometimes quite ignorant.
And sometimes it's understanding, and it's happened before that, for example, we could have a meeting with someone, and they said, I was talking to people from the community, disabled community, and they said that would be fine. The fact that it was maybe you and I having a cup of coffee with someone, and they've totally misunderstood, and they believe that they've had a good conversation with the disability sector.
Yeah, and it's something that happens over and over again, is that people will ask people like John, people like myself, people like Chris Ford, and we're three disabled people, and we have three perspectives, and that's wonderful. 3 is better than no perspectives, but it is not. We don't cover whole range of perspectives from the disabled community.
Yeah, I mean, like the other week, someone in the electric wheelchair said to this shop that their front entrance was not accessible. So I arranged to see the person in their shop. They were waiting at the back entrance for me, and I went into the front entrance, which was not wheelchair accessible. But that goes back to the training I had on how to use my wheelchair. There are ways you can get a manual wheelchair up a flight of stairs on your own. Not something I recommend.
No, let's not advocate for dangerous behaviour. ACC will be on our tails before we know it.
Yeah.
Right, I suppose we better actually get to the topic of this, which is the Access for All meetings. So what is Access for All?
Well, Access for All, it came out about 2018. I had took a break from Disability Information Service, and I worked in other places, and then realised I missed the sector, and so I came back. In my absence, there'd been a meeting at the council talking about accessible housing, and it was hosted by CCS, DPA, and a couple of other of the disability organisations. And I realised from that we really need to get together more often and talk about issues that we're facing, and get representatives from the various councils along. And so about 2019 we had our first meeting, and started off really good, and we had a lot of representatives from Idea Services, PACT, DPA, Blind Low Vision, Blind Citizens, Age Concern, and it was really good. And we meet every third Monday of the month. And it's the same people who turn up, which is really good. And every month we get someone from the council along, or anything like we had last meeting. We've had a couple of times now, flamingo scooters coming along, because they realise how their scooters, when they're just left in the middle of a footpath, are a hassle for everyone.
And so they are, but it's really good that they're on board with trying to make some positive change.
Yeah, and that's where it is. It's a chance, and it fills the gap. The Dunedin City Council has a group called the Disability Issues Advisory Group, and that was meeting sort of 3 times a year, and now it's meeting more frequent. And the Access for All group sort of fills in the gap. We can quite often get things moving quicker than the DIAG group, because we'll get someone from the Parks and Gardens along, and we might say, look, that park you've got there, or that path in the botanical garden needs work, and more often than not they can address it a lot quicker than the DIAG group.
Oh, can I put my 2 cents in here?
Yes.
I was going across Bath Street where they're doing all the roadworks, and the so-called path they have for crossing the road was interesting.
Yes. And the thing is, though, they've got a piece of carpet there which should be bigger. I run on little 3-inch front casters on my wheelchair, so anything bigger than 5 mils, I could do a nosedive out of my chair. So I'm always looking down. But yeah, that carpet really came out of the George Street Quarter. We had a few meetings with Glenn Hazelton and the team from Isaacs. They came along to our Access for All group quite often and listened to our concerns, and they did walk-arounds with representatives from the blind, power wheelchair users, people with walkers, and everything, had a look at what they could do when the work was being undertaken. And the carpets came out and they said, how's that working? And it's great.
Oh, it's revolutionary. It makes my life so much easier. That one could do with being a wee bit bigger.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess we've covered when and where this group started, and you've told me a bit about who comes to these Access for All meetings. Can you give some examples about what Access for All covered in the past?
Well, we started off with accessible housing because there was that issue, and we had someone who was with Kangaroa, and they came across, I think it was Kangaroa, Housing New Zealand. I'm lost. Do we now say the Maori name and then the New Zealand? Do we say the New Zealand or the Maori? And that's the thing, that is Access for All is signage as well, which we quite often will talk about wayfinding as well with the council or ORC, whatever. So, for example, George Street, the retail quarter, we had a lot to do with that. We had a look at some of the original plans, and for example, the accessible car parks, you'll have them on the east side on one block, on the west side the other, and the accessible car parks on the east side were going to have gutter drains by them. And I pointed out to the architects that the gutter drain would not be good for someone like myself in a wheelchair trying to get in and out. And they said, oh, that's right, you can park in the next block. So we...
oh, gosh, it's frustrating. And we get this all of the time with mobility parking. At the curb cuts, which is one of my big bugbears, is I've been told by people from the council that, lots of people don't use wheelchairs that park in mobility parking spots. Yes, but these are the only spots we can park in. Yeah. So please make them accessible.
Yeah. And that's the thing. They are listening to us. They was another really good one. I heard of this guy who was a bit of an engineer, and I said to him, look, this is what they provide in America, not these plastic pieces of ramps that...
I love the way you're holding in your language there, John.
Well, you'll see them all. They're really hard to use because they've got even though it's a sloped upstand as you leave the curb, it's very hard. And with overuse and vehicles parking on them, these plastic ramps can slowly break down. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine in a manual wheelchair tipped on one of those up in Auckland, broke her hip and was out of commission for a while.
Wow.
I've known people in power wheelchairs who've gone over them and they've collapsed. So I went to this guy and said, look, this is what they do in America. They are made of metal. Can you do something? He designed one, went to the council, and they got 3. Really fantastic, bright yellow. There's one in Bond Street near the MSD building.
I'll go have a look. It's like going to the zoo.
Yeah. And there was 2, I think one is by the physio school, and there's another one which was in Hanover Street. They were great because a vehicle could run over them and it wouldn't break down. But again, it's just finding the money at the moment. There's no money being given by the government. There was a cost of $5,000 towards a drop curb, depending on the drainage. What they've done is if they've moved bus stops, they said, right, we will put an accessible car park there, monitor its use, and then if it is in the right place, we'll paint it blue, and then we'll put a ramp in. The reason it's painted blue came out of CCS. They actually found, and it was also a study, I believe, done overseas, that there was less abuse by non-permit holders. Because it's hard to say. I didn't see the little yellow stick figure.
Well, yes. And I mean, they're very good for us as well, because if you're driving along and you want to see whether the next block actually has any parking on it, you can see, which is, I find it really useful. In fact, I didn't park in one today because it was one of those ones that was still white and I didn't see it when I was driving.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, that's the thing, like, because you're in the power chair, you need that ramp. I'm lucky because, again, it's one of the skills that I was learned. I can bounce up and down curbs, so I can come straight out of this building and cross the road up the other side. While you're busy waiting for the lights and things, I've already had 2 drinks.
That's okay, John. I just get out of my chair and push it over the ramp, but I shouldn't have to, and lots of people can't.
And the thing is, you can actually get these tiny little threshold ramps that will fold up and you can carry on the back of your electric wheelchair. Which is really nice, and I do know that some people have got them, but it would be nice when we don't need them.
Yes, it will be nice when we don't need them. And to be honest, I carry around so much stuff anyway. I don't need more things to be carrying
you'll need
around.
You'll need a trailer.
Yes, I need a trailer and a van, and my little Kia is not going to support the amount of equipment that I need.
And, I mean, that's the thing, which is not really a council issue per se, but they are putting in longer accessible parks because they realise that there's a lot of vans that will not fit in accessible, because you have a standard van which might be 5 metres long. You then need 3 metres at the rear to get the hoist out, and then a 1.5 metre turning circle. The ACC are providing people with Mercedes Sprinters, which are about 6 metres long. So all of a sudden you've got an even longer vehicle. So the NZTA really needs to change their rules and regulations. You look at how many people are driving SUVs. You park, say, for example, parallel park is fine, but if it's where you're 90 degrees, someone will pull up beside you in an SUV. Suddenly you can't open your door.
Yep. It is really challenging, and I find this every day, is that I've got to get past my own vehicle to get onto the sidewalk. I've also got to get 2 small children past my own vehicle, and it can really be challenging, and I am largely restricted to parking in mobility parking spots for that reason, because I can't always pass the car next to me.
And that's where, again, people say I'm lucky, but I think, again, it's the skill that I know I can park at any car park. One of the very first complaints I had when I started back in this job was about the cycle lanes, not the fact of the money spent or the fact that you might see 3 cyclists on them a day. It was the fact that the island separating the park, the park or the road from the cycle lane was too narrow, which means that all of a sudden we've lost 30 car parks, say, in Cumberland Street, because I cannot park my car and get out my driver's side because the little island which I'm getting out on is too narrow. I did write to the council about it. They then said it was an NZTA issue. I contacted NZTA. They said, no, sorry, John, it's nothing to do with us. So the ball is in the air.
Does often go round in circles like that.
The people, and we've got and that's through the Access for All group, we've got such a good rapport with the council that they do listen. They'll come along and explain the reasons why and how they're trying to identify and remove some of these hassles.
Yeah, I don't often park on the one-way system. Mainly I park... I mean, the new George Street renovations have been revolutionary for me. I live in Mosgiel, but I far more often come into Dunedin town to do shopping, and there's more stuff there, but also, the parking is just so much easier. And I feel relatively safe. And I don't know how many people know, but my 2 little ones have ADHD, so I have to... And the runners, I really have to keep on top of their behaviour, and having safe spaces to do that really makes my life so much easier.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can zigzag from shop to shop. You don't have to go to the lights, wait for the lights.
Absolutely.
And it is great. I know so many people, even the council, who were hesitant to buy in, they love it now. Yeah, and they say it's really good. And I did a little survey that if a shop in Dunedin was not accessible, they could be losing out over $1 million a year in lost income if all the disabled wanted to go in there and buy a coffee, for example.
Sure.
You know, accessibility is very important.
Well, I find Lower Stewart Street to be a really problematic area in terms of the coffee shops. You can go past heaps of coffee shops and find none of them that you can actually get through the door, which I find rather frustrating. So
I've started making a list of all the accessible shops for someone, and something that Living Well are looking at possibly doing is having an award for the best shop. Or
that's a really good idea.
I think we used to have something from it by the council, but I think it's just a way of, and we actually did it for one of the cafes, because you'd go in there, it had a level access, but the heavy door, but it was great. The staff would actually move people and say, look, do you mind sitting at this table? We've got a couple of people in wheelchairs, or just one person or whatever. And the staff was really, really good. So we gave them a little award, which was nice, you know.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I don't want to call shops out. My current bugbear is Smiggle. I love Smiggle. My children love Smiggle. We spend far too much time in Smiggle. But I can't get past basically just the front entrance. It's accessible in terms of the fact there's a ramp, but the shop is so narrow and so overstocked.
And that's it. There's supposed to be a 1,200 mil, 1.2 metre accessible route around shops and things like that. One of the best places I ever went to was, and that's the thing, if we want to try clothes on, we'll take them home and try them. They are supposed to have an accessible changing room, which some are doing. However, sometimes you can't get there because the aisles are so blocked.
Oh gosh, clothes are something else. The number of times shop assistants have said things like, "You don't have a helper today." I never have a helper. In fact, I have two little hindrances when I shop.
Or three if your husband's with you.
My husband's with me because he's so bored.
Yeah, it's funny how the perception, one of the best things, we could talk about people's attitudes for long, but we have 3 minutes left of this program. This has gone so quickly. But no, I mean, the Access for All, I mean, if anyone's interested, and we used to have it was representatives from the groups, but we realised that sometimes people like from Idea Services or PACT couldn't make it. So we've started inviting individuals along in the hope that they will then talk back to the organisations they belong to or their network, because we just find sometimes that people aren't getting the message. You can put it on every media under the sun and people will still say, we didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm very bad with Access for All meetings because my life is not organised yet on a Monday. It takes me until at least Tuesday.
Well, that's something which I'm hoping we finally, in the Living Well upstairs meeting room, we've got a smart TV, which we're going to rig up, and then hopefully we'll be able to start doing by Zooms or Teams.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yeah. That it really increase the number of people that it's accessible to.
Yeah, and it's going to be more trying to curtail people and get them to put their hands up and not interrupt and things like that, and that's the enjoyment of chairing meetings.
Yeah, well, that's just meetings for you. It's always the way. People have lots to say for themselves, don't they?
And I think that's it. It's a good way for people to put their voice out there because it's very important to them. They may have an issue with accessing a certain machine, vending machine, parking machine, ATM, and it's important to them and they need to be listened to.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's wonderful that we have this forum that we can do so. Right, John, we're just about out of time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Can you just tell us again when and where the Access for All meetings are?
So Access for All meetings, it's the third Monday of each month. It's on we're based in Burns House, corner of Bath Street and George Street. We've got a shop so people can come in, bring their wallets, of course, and buy something. And then, our meetings are upstairs. So, third Thursday of the month, 10 o'clock to 11:30.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. Thank you for coming in today.
My pleasure.
This has been DPA Notable Radio. I'm your host, Amy Taylor, Otipoti Community Connector or Kaituitui.
Disabled Persons Assembly is Aotearoa, New Zealand's first pan-disability national organisation, providing system-level advocacy for all disabled people. Membership is free for individuals. If you'd like to know more, visit our national website at www.dpa.org.nz or contact your local kaituitui or community connector, Amy Taylor, at kaituitui.otipoti@dpa.org.nz. Disabled Persons Assembly, a whole new attitude.
This podcast was produced by ORFM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.